And 2025 begins on this sad note. I would like to begin this press conference by thanking my prosecutors, my Bureau Chief Michael Bushwhack and Senior Assistant District Attorney Brianna Ryan of my Vehicular Crimes Bureau. Their tireless work on this investigation and prosecution of this case made this plea possible today. And I thank both of you. Today, Amandeep Singh pled guilty to a host of charges, including aggravated vehicular homicide and 2 counts of second-degree manslaughter for the horrific crash in May of 2023 that killed 14-year-olds Ethan Falkowitz and Drew Hassenbein. He is set to be sentenced on February 7th. This is a remarkable top-count plea with a commitment from the judge of the maximum allowed sentence for the charge of aggravated vehicular homicide, 8 1/3 to 25 years in prison. Throughout this prosecution, my position on any guilty plea was very clear. 2 young boys were dead. Family and friends and an entire community was left grieving. The defendant's criminal conduct was unconscionable, and in my mind, nothing short of the maximum prison sentence for the top count charged would be enough to hold this defendant accountable for the devastation that he caused. Without that, there was no discussion. I would not allow it. There was no discussion of plea bargaining. There was no discussion with defense counsel of anything other than the top count plea. Judge Gugarty agreed with my unwavering stance that he should get the maximum sentence, 8 1/3 to 25. This defendant could have taken his chances at trial, but I believe he knew what was waiting for him. The evidence of his guilt was overwhelming, and I'm confident that any jury would have seen things just as we did. That left Singh with no choice but to finally take responsibility today for the suffering he caused on May 3rd, 2023. On that day, Amandeep Singh went out with some friends to a few restaurants in Plainview. They shared some glasses of tequila and some whiskey. When that party broke up, several of his friends called a rideshare. He did not. He and a couple of friends got into his 7,000-pound Dodge Ram TRX pickup truck and drove off to a friend's house in Muttontown. He went into the house for a few minutes, which gave him another opportunity to stop and think, and maybe not leave that house and get in that car. But he made a different choice. He got back into that truck alone, and a few minutes later at 10:19, he slammed into a car carrying 4 bright and talented friends from Roslyn High School, celebrating nothing but a tennis match win against their rivals, Syosset. After the crash, an empty bottle of tequila was found in the back of Singh's car. Drew, Ethan, and their 2 friends were coming from Buffalo Wild Wings. They were excited about their victory. Both Ethan and Drew were elite tennis players, playing on the varsity squad at just 14 years old. They talked, they laughed, they played that Pop-A-Shot basketball game at the arcade, and then they got into their friend's car to drive home. The posted speed limit on North Broadway in Jericho is 40 miles an hour. The black box from the teen's car showed they were driving 32 miles an hour when they were hit. Surveillance video moments before the crash showed them obeying all the traffic laws. They did everything right. But unfortunately, at that moment, they were sharing the road with a reckless, drunk, and drugged driver on the path of destruction. Amandeep Singh was rocketing down that same road, going the wrong way, careening south down the northbound lanes, when he struck Ethan and Drew's car nearly head-on, his car going approximately 75 miles an hour. Surveillance video captured the crash and showed Singh's truck going airborne after striking the boy's car. His truck violently flips and rolls and comes to rest, yards away. The boy's car, demolished by the force of the crash, turned completely around on the center median against a tree. By the time police arrived on scene, Ethan and Drew were already dead. The teen driver suffered a concussion and is still being treated for issues to the right side of his body to this day. The other surviving passenger had to have glass removed from his eye and suffered an injury to his leg. Singh, meanwhile, got up and walked away from this catastrophic crash. But he didn't just walk away. He fled like a coward. After he was helped out of his truck by a good Samaritan, he immediately began to distance himself from what he had done. He told witnesses he wasn't driving. He told them he had to go. And as police arrived on scene with their lights flashing, he disappeared into the crowd. He walked through a nearby shopping complex and cowered behind a dumpster. Extensive body camera video from police who found Singh behind the dumpsters made it clear why he tried to run. He was unsteady on his feet. He was disoriented. His speech was slurred, all from intoxication. He denied owning the truck and gave excuse after excuse for hiding behind that dumpster. He was adamant that he wasn't involved in a crash, but later said he just lost control, and then boldly asked the police if the teen driver had been drinking. His statement ranged from the incomprehensible to the egotistical, and from bargaining to, in the end, pleading. But he never once took responsibility or showed remorse. Instead, when the police told him what happened, that he had taken the lives of these two young men, he spoke only of his own life and his own two sons. Not a shred of sorrow or regret for the two sons he stole from the Falkowitz and Hassenbein families. After his arrest, 4 hours after the crash, the defendant's blood alcohol content was a 0.15, nearly twice the legal limit. The results also revealed the presence of cocaine. This is just another selfish, reckless driver who stole the lives of extraordinary young people. Deaths that were completely preventable if this defendant had just not gotten behind the wheel. Ethan and Drew were cherished sons, brothers, friends, teammates, and classmates. They are deeply loved by their families and their community. When this defendant was first arraigned in district court after the crash, the outpouring of love, of support, and solidarity was unlike anything I have seen in my career as a prosecutor. Hundreds of people lining the hallway for these boys who brought such joy to everyone around them. It underscores the unimaginable loss that the Falkowitz and Hassenbein families and the Roslyn community has suffered. This defendant shattered two families and robbed everyone of the limitless potential of these boys. These tragedies that we speak about are not random. They are the direct result of poor choices made by defendants like Amandeep Singh, who endangered innocent lives and put motorists at risk. Serious actions demand serious consequences, and I am committed to demanding the maximum sentence for people like Amandeep Singh who get in a car and recklessly drive and take the lives of our young people. The disregard for the law and safety on our roads is unacceptable to me. This is a fight I have been fighting for the last 3 years and will continue to fight going forward. We have to stop this tragedy, this unimaginable loss of our young people on the roads because of defendants like Amandeep Singh. My thoughts remain with the Falkowitz and Hassenbein families and with the surviving victims. The defendants will be sentenced on February 7th.